You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications.
What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here, right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review AEW Dynamite from March 9th, 2022. Overall, of course, this is the fallout from the amazing, and I mean amazing, Revolution pay-per-view, and we got a lot of things to talk about right here on the AEW Dynamite review for you guys. Of course, the big story, Jeff Hardy is officially All Elite. Yes, Jeff Hardy is officially signed to All Elite Wrestling, and the Hardy Boyz are back together in AEW, so I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on that. Jericho turns on Santana and Ortiz, and what happens? He forms a new faction, and no, it's not Inner Circle 2.0, it is the Jericho Appreciation Society. After that, we got 3 title matches. We got the World title match, of course, with Hangman defending the title against Dante Martin. We got a Tag Team Championship match with Jurassic Express defending the championship against the one and only Acclaimed, and Max Caster loves them rhymes. But of course, we also got the main event, the TNT Championship match with Sammy Guevara defending the title against Scorpio Sky. And let's be straight up honest with you, and spoiler alert, Scorpio Sky is the new TNT Champion. So we got a lot of things to discuss right here on the Dynamite review. But before I get on with the entire show, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the freaking referee would state, ring that damn bell for more notifications. All right, what kicks off Dynamite? Dynamite starts off with Chris Jericho. Yes, it starts off with Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston. Jericho, of course, and Kingston opened up the Revolution pay-per-view last Sunday in a fantastic opener. It was a great match. The story was awesome, and just really good match. One of Jericho's best matches so far in AEW, and he even stated it right here in his promo. But it was a great match. I really enjoyed what I saw in the match. It was really hard-hitting, and there was a lot of crazy-ass spots during the match, but I'm not gonna lie, man, that match was one of the best matches of the entire night, in my opinion. You know, there were a lot of great matches, and one of the fears that I had with the Revolution pay-per-view was that AEW, since the entire card was absolutely stacked, I was afraid that one match was gonna fall off a cliff after we saw an amazing match. So, but we didn't really see that. But I will say, man, you know, every match on the main card of Revolution, every match on the main Revolution card absolutely mattered. Even the matches that you just didn't give a shit about, they mattered, and they were just flat out great. But of course, Jericho and Eddie Kingston basically stole the show right in the beginning of the match. We had a lot of show stealers at Revolution, but Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho were one of those show stealers. But Chris Jericho kicks off Dynamite. He asks everyone if they're ready for Dynamite. Last Sunday at Revolution was one of the greatest nights of his professional career, even though he lost to Eddie Kingston. Said it was one of his best matches, if not his best match in AEW. The match brought something out of Chris Jericho that he thought he didn't have anymore. It says that he didn't shake his hand, and we get a bunch of shake his hand chants by the crowd. Talks about how he was frustrated, says that he needs to make it up to Eddie Kingston, and he calls out Eddie Kingston to shake his hand. But what happens? Eddie Kingston comes out. Eddie Kingston says that they're going to get real deep. The Friday night before the show, he didn't want to show up to work. He wanted to go out and drink. He wanted the poison that eaten him for years, and says that Jericho is right. He was afraid. And then we get a bunch of what chants by the crowd, which I thought was really stupid in my opinion. Like, look, I like the what chant, but like, especially when it comes to a promo like this, I mean, like, it makes no sense to have the what chant. I mean, like, it's really dumb in my opinion if you have the what chant, especially in a promo that is actually really this serious as this one. And, you know, Eddie Kingston absolutely shut that down. So he shut down and killed off those what chant, and says that Steve Austin ain't here, which is funny as hell. It says what gave him the courage when he had 4 people come up to him. It says that he came to his hotel room and then cried because he wanted to make people proud. All he can say for those people that were with him that he hoped he made them proud. And he tells Chris Jericho the handshake wasn't for him. It was for Chris Jericho. He asks him what he is missing that made him not shake his hand, and says that it was not a Eddie Kingston problem, it was a Chris Jericho problem. Says after the match he has respect, and then after that he says that, but that respect did not fill the hole that's eaten inside Chris Jericho. Jericho states everything that he said was right. Jericho thanks him for the match. He offers a handshake. Both shake hands. And what happens after that? Daniel Garcia, Matt Lee, and Jeff Parker of 2.0, those jackasses, come out and they attack Jericho and Eddie Kingston. Then what happens after that? Santana and Ortiz come out to make the save. And then they give Chris Jericho the bat. But then Jericho, what happens in typical Chris Jericho fashion? So Santana and Ortiz are offering Floyd to Chris Jericho. What happens? You would honestly think that they were going to hit 2.0 and, Daniel Garcia. But nope. Yeet. The yeet happened. And that was not the case. Chris Jericho officially turns on Santana and Ortiz, which was great. I actually enjoyed the moment. And then he gave Jericho the bat. And then after that, he hits Santana and Ortiz. Then Jake Hager comes out. And looked like he was going to come out for the save. He was buckering at Jericho, just shouting at Jericho's face, "What are you doing? What the hell are you doing?" And then what happens after that? He officially turns on Santana and Ortiz again. And then they all take out Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz. Now, granted, I honestly thought when they were going with this Chris Jericho story that they were going to have Santana and Ortiz be the ones that turn heel on Jericho. But I love how the roles are reversed. And it's actually Chris Jericho turning heel on Santana and Ortiz. And now, we got Jericho having this new faction. And then Hager comes out. He turns on everybody else. And then they all take out Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. Hager then picks up Eddie Kingston and powerbombs him from the apron to the table onto the outside. And Jericho says that this new faction is called the Jericho Appreciation Society. And after that, he states, and that's entertainment. All right. What are my thoughts, first off, of this new faction name, the Jericho Appreciation Society? Honestly, I'm not mad about it. A lot of people were really angry about this name. I mean, it's kind of a stupid name, to be quite honest with you, the Jericho Appreciation Society. I mean, I have no problem with it, but it would have been so much better. And don't take my credit for this. A lot of other people were saying this on social media as well, and it makes perfect sense. They should have just called the faction Inner Circle 2.0. They really just should have called this whole thing Inner Circle 2.0, in my opinion, because of the fact that it makes total sense and it kind of sounds really good, and you can have an Inner Circle 1.0 versus an Inner Circle 2.0. That'd be great. That'd be a great match, but that's not going to be the case. I don't know why they didn't do that, but Jericho has a new faction. What are my thoughts on this? I think it's finally time. I think the Inner Circle, in my opinion, has kind of run its course. I mean, the Inner Circle did its job from the moment Dynamite first began a couple of years ago. But let's be straight up. I mean, for the past couple of weeks, the Inner Circle has really kind of died down, in my opinion. Sammy Guevara is really off to the sunset and really doing things on his own. I mean, he's a officially now, a former two-time TNT champion. Of course, he dropped the belt to Scorpio Sky. Now, I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on that later on. But Jake Hager as well was really doing nothing in the match as well. Jake Hager was doing nothing. And let's be straight up, really, it was after the Chris Jericho MJF feud. Really, nothing was going on. I don't even want to say it was even after the MJF and Chris Jericho feud. It was after the whole Pinnacle versus Inner Circle feud. Because MJF and Jericho, those two were feuding on their own. There was really not a lot of Inner Circle involvement there. There was some and Pinnacle involvement as well, but let's be straight up. The majority of the MJF and Chris Jericho feud was really based off of MJF and Chris Jericho alone. But really, the last importance of the Inner Circle before this whole storyline even went into fruition was the feud with the Pinnacle, and I thought that was one of the best feuds of the entire year. I loved the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle. I thought it was a great story and a great feud, in my opinion. But let's be straight up. I mean, they after that, the Inner Circle kind of died down in interest. Let's be straight up. And it's great that they have a Inner Circle 2.0, which I think I will be calling them that because it's such a better name than the Jericho Appreciation Society. It's look, I have no problem with that name, but again, Inner Circle 2.0 just sounds so much better, in my opinion. It just sounds so much better. Not only that, you have Matt Lee and Jeff Parker. They're called 2.0, so it makes perfect sense. But yeah, man, overall, Jericho has a new faction, and he turns on Santana and Ortiz. A lot of people are saying that they can have a whole tag match with both factions, with Eddie Kingston, Santana and Ortiz taking on the Jericho Appreciation Society. But a lot of people are saying that they should bring in Homicide and Hernandez and they can literally band together LAX, which would be awesome. I would love to see LAX in AEW. Not only that, bring in Conan, not to wrestle, of course. Conan is retired, but bring in Conan to, like, manage this new type of LAX faction, because I would love to see something like that. And you never know, maybe this can be a future blood and guts match, because I've stated in past Dynamite reviews that they should do blood and guts with the Undisputed Era and the Elite. What if it's not that? What if it's Chris Jericho, the Jericho Appreciation Society, or Inner Circle 2.0 versus a united LAX? You have Homicide and Hernandez, who are the original members of LAX back in the TNA days. Of course, they were with Conan and stuff, and they were a big part of TNA back in 2006. You can have those two guys plus Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz, who are former members of LAX back in Impact Wrestling a couple of years ago. So you can have a LAX faction within AEW taking on Chris Jericho's new Inner Circle faction inside Blood and Guts. I think it makes perfect sense, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Again, I would love to see Undisputed Era versus the Elite, or Paragon versus the Elite, but I think after this, they're definitely going to go the Inner Circle route again, which I have no problem with either. I honestly have absolutely no problem, but we'll have to wait and see where this goes. But I like this new faction. I wish they called it Inner Circle 2.0, but no problem with the whole angle, in my opinion. We get a video package of the dog collar match, which was an amazing match. The match, of course, it was a long match, but it was a great match. It told a great story. I mean, the whole basis of the entire match was the story and emotion. That was basically the whole basis of the story. A lot of people were complaining that, this match was not fast-paced, and I'm like, it's not supposed to be fast-paced. It's a very old-school style match. Those are what dog collar matches are. I don't know why people are complaining that this match went way too long or it was way too slow. I tend to disagree. I definitely enjoyed the match. The match was a really fun match. Not only that, it was a really emotion-driven match, in my opinion. It was a great match, and I really loved the CM Punk versus MJF feud, and I definitely do see a future match happening between the two for the world title. They can go many different routes with this. A lot of people are saying that CM Punk is actually the next guy to beat Hangman Page for the world title, and then after that, CM Punk would drop the belt to MJF, which would be great, but, I mean, again, I would actually love to have, MJF take the world title from Hangman, because he is the guy to clearly take the belt off of MJF. Then bring back this whole feud with CM Punk, and then have MJF beat CM Punk to an oblivion, and we're off to the races. But that's just my view. But we'll have to wait and see where AEW goes. I definitely do trust in Tony Khan to see where this whole booking goes. I wouldn't mind. In fact, I would love for CM Punk to win the world title. Because, of course, if CM Punk wins the world title, he's definitely going, 100%, he is going to drop that title to MJF. Definitely. So, either way, I mean, MJF is winning in the end. Let's be straight up. We got our AEW World Championship match. Yes, we have the AEW World Championship on the line. We had 3 championship matches on this episode of Dynamite. Oh, my God, my lights went off. Oh, my God. My lights went off, everybody. My lights went off. That's actually pretty funny. But, yeah, man. So, actually, real quick, let me come back with you guys. Damn, man. These lights are ridiculous. All right, we're back. All right, we're back. We're back, everybody. A little typo. This will be included in the video. I'm not going to edit this out because it's just a lot of work. And not only that, this Dynamite review is really late. So, yeah, man, I got to really focus right here. But we got a world title match. So we got Dante Martin versus Hangman Page for the AEW World Championship. Both lock up. We got a wrist lock by Hangman. It was actually a pretty short match. It was not that long of a match. It was a pretty short match. We got a wrist lock by Hangman, a waist lock. We got a chop by Dante, a crossbody. Hangman holds on. Hangman then hits a fall-away slam after that. Then, after that, Hangman is in control during the commercial break. We come back. Hangman continues to work on Dante Martin. We get a back kick, and then Dante goes for a high kick. He goes to the top, and then we get a beautiful shotgun drop kick by Dante Martin. We get a cover into near fall. We get a right hand, and then we get a right hand by Hangman. So first a right hand by Dante, and then another right hand by Hangman. We get a high kick by Dante, taking Hangman to the outside. Dante then hits a moonsault on Hangman on the outside. He goes back in the ring. Dante then goes for a shotgun drop, but then Hangman counters into a powerbomb. Hangman then lands on his feet with the moonsault. We get a Hurricane Rana by Dante. Dante then goes for a springboard, but then Hangman fires back. Then he lands on the mat and runs into a buckshot lariat. Then, after that, We get a cover by Hangman. 1, 2, 3. Hangman Page retains the AEW World Championship. It was a quick match. Many of the matches on this show were not really that long. Usually, of course, Dynamite did not start with a 20-minute fast-paced match as they usually do. But overall, this was a great match. Dante Martin looked great. Of course, he was not going to win the world title. If you honestly thought that Dante Martin was going to win the world title, I don't know what's wrong with you. But Dante Martin looked great. Of course, after that, Tony Schiavone interviews Hangman Page. Hangman says he brings Dante back in the ring, and he basically puts him over. He puts him over and says that he knows that Darius is back in top flight, or running rampant through the AEW Tag Team Division. Says that he's one of the hardest hitting and fastest wrestlers he has ever faced, and proceeds to shake the hand of Dante Martin after that. Adam Cole, in typical Adam Cole fashion, comes out and says that Revolution, they went to war. He congratulates Hangman and says that he got a flip victory against Adam Cole, and says next time they fight each other, he will not get lucky again. Says next week on Dynamite, he will challenge him in a 6-man tag team match. Says that he has 2 specific young men in mind, and says it's one of the best tag teams in the world, and says that he will give him a week to process this, and he will make his life a living hell. And says his days for the AEW World title are numbered. So next week it's going to be Hangman Page versus Hangman Page and Jurassic Express taking on Adam Cole and Red Dragon. So it's going to be a great match. I'm definitely going to enjoy it. Do I see the heels going over? I don't think so. I see the baby faces going over, in my opinion, because of the fact that they're all champions. But overall, I think they're going to do a rematch between Adam Cole and Hangman Page. Do I see that match happening at Double or Nothing? Absolutely not. I see that match happening on a Dynamite episode, in my opinion. I do not see it happening on pay-per-view. But because of the fact that the pay-per-view is in May. It's May 29th, I think, is when Double or Nothing is. But again, I mean, we're not going to see that match on the pay-per-view. We're going to see it on television. All right, we got Bryan Danielson versus Anthony Henry and JD Drake. Again, a short match, of course. William Regal made his debut at AEW Revolution and slapped the piss out of both Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. And I'm not going to lie, man, William Regal is a great addition and a great asset to the AEW roster and to the AEW team. William Regal, the amount of knowledge that this guy has for the wrestling business is insane, and he's a great hand. I mean, that kind of sounds like really offensive, but he's a really good get for AEW in my opinion. And I love the fact that he paired both Danielson and Moxley together, but we'll talk about that later on. Danielson and Moxley go after Henry and Drake. Moxley's in control over JD Drake. We get a backdrop. Then Danielson tags in. Danielson goes for his yes kicks. Henry tags in. Henry with a couple of kicks and rights. We get a running knee by Danielson. We get a kick to the back of Henry on Danielson. Moxley tags in. We get thank you Regal chants. Yes, we get thank you Regal chants. The crowd absolutely loves William Regal. Then Danielson tags in. He chops Danielson. We get a couple of chops by Danielson on Henry. Then Danielson applies the all-famous Romero special. Then Moxley tags in. He bites the face of Henry. And then after that, he drops Henry. We get a cover end and near fall. We get a boot by Henry. We get a shotgun dropkick. JD Drake tags in. Then we get a couple of chops by Drake, but then Moxley no-sells those chops. Then we get a slap by Moxley. He goes for a lariat and then a suicide dive. Danielson hits the Busaiku knee. Danielson then stomps repeatedly on JD Drake, so he kicks JD Drake's head in. Then after that, he applies the leg lock, and then JD Drake taps out. Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson are the most unstoppable force. My language is getting mixed up right here. In professional wrestling. Then Tony Schiavone interviews William Regal, Jon Moxley, and Bryan Danielson. Of course, in the beginning of his promo, he basically thanks Tony Schiavone because, of course, they did work together earlier on in William Regal's career, and he talks about how they were on TBS. It's been 29 years since they were on TBS together. Says this is the first time he actually got to thank him on camera. It says that Tony Schiavone helped him. It says for 2 months he sat home and he checked out the industry that he was involved in for 39 years. So he hasn't checked out the industry that he was involved in for 29 years. Then talks about Bryan Danielson and about how Bryan Danielson kept on mentioning William Regal. He puts over Danielson and he basically states the history that he has with both Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, which was great. He proceeds to put them over after that. It was a really good promo that William Regal cut. And if you guys haven't checked out the promo, check it out. It's on their YouTube channel. It's fantastic. And he actually went over the time. He actually was supposed to like stop his promo, but he went a little overboard, and then he later apologized on Twitter. But overall, it was a fantastic promo that William Regal cut. It was a promo putting over both Danielson and Moxley, how they can become, the greatest force and the greatest tag team in wrestling, and how, he has worked with them earlier on in their careers. So I loved the fact that he really told a unique story and a great story in his promo. I don't even want to call it a story. It's real life. It's real life. He basically told a story in real life. He talked about a true story and his history with Danielson and Moxley, and that was great. And I love the fact that William Regal is putting over these guys and, mentoring these guys in storyline. I think it makes the perfect sense. And I think William Regal is the perfect guy to definitely, really create that unstoppable force between Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. I've always, I remember I stated this in my Revolution review that I really wanted him to be in a manager role, a general manager role, kind of like how he was in NXT. But honestly, I have absolutely no problem with this role whatsoever. I think this role is great for William Regal. Hopefully that changes in the near future when it comes to him becoming officially like a commissioner or something like that. And, I really want him to scream blood and guts. I think that'd be murder if they didn't do that. I'd really be pissed if they didn't do that with William Regal, but I think it's happening. It's definitely happening. All right. Hangman Page and the Dark Order backstage. There's tension between Hangman and the Dark Order. So apparently during the match, Hangman was pissed that he pushed over one of the members of the Dark Order. I didn't actually catch that, but apparently that was the case. And it says that, Hangman Page already has his tag team partners and all that stuff. So there's a lot of bit of tension in the Dark Order. The Dark Order is actually kind of disappointed that they didn't, they weren't the partners for Hangman Page. His partners, were Jurassic Express. In our next match, we got Wheeler Yuta versus Pac. Both lock up. Pac with the wrist lock on Yuta. Yuta gains control. We get a commercial break. Pac works on Yuta. Once we're back from break, Danhausen is on the outside. Yuta goes for the enziguri. Pac runs into a boot. We get a crossbody by Wheeler Yuta. We get a cover and a near fall. Then Pac applies a German suplex. Then he hits the bridge. We get a near fall. Yuta is on the top rope, but then the same as Pac. Pac hits an avalanche Braden Buster off the top. He applies the brutalizer, and Yuta taps out. Short match, but I really liked what I saw here. Overall, I really do not know what the hell is going to be going on here. Of course, Pac was on the buy-in at Revolution, and he actually did beat. It was him, Eric Redbeard, and Penta taking on the House of Black, and it was a fantastic match, especially for the buy-in. A lot of people really need to check out the buy-in more because really AEW is putting a lot of emphasis when it comes to their buy-ins. I mean, you really check them out. WWE, they put crappy matches on their kickoff shows, but AEW definitely puts the effort when it comes to their important championship matches. I mean, they don't even put championship matches on the kickoff show or on the buy-in, I should say. So WWE really needs to stop putting championship matches on their kickoff shows. That's just my opinion. All right. We get a backstage interview with FTR. Dax Harwood talks about his family and all that stuff, and then Tully interrupts him and states that, it's about the championships first. And then what happens? They fire Tully Blanchard. So Tully Blanchard gets fired, and he is kicked off of the Pinnacle. So what is going to be going on here? They fired Tully Blanchard, which makes no sense. I thought the Pinnacle was still a faction. And of course, Wardlow escaped, but he left the Pinnacle, even though he's still in kayfabe under contract with MJF. But it's kind of weird how Tully gets fired out of nowhere. I don't know where that is, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe this is going somewhere. Is this going to be going somewhere when it comes to the Pinnacle? Is the Pinnacle going to become its own standalone Four Horsemen faction? Because let's be honest, the Pinnacle is a modern version of the Four Horsemen, but Wardlow, taking Wardlow out kind of makes sense because Wardlow is going to be a babyface guy. Not only that, I mean, having I don't know why they kicked off Tully Blanchard. I mean, it kind of makes no sense. Tully Blanchard has a history with the Four Horsemen. He was one of the original members of the Four Horsemen, but we'll have to wait and see in the future. They kicked out Tully Blanchard from the Pinnacle. And again, we'll have to wait and see what happens when it comes to the Pinnacle faction as a whole, because again, guaranteed you this year, MJF is winning the World Heavyweight Championship. And I know I mentioned that constantly on my Dynamite, Rampage, and AEW pay-per-view reviews, but it is 100% fact. All right. We get the Hardy family office board meeting. Matt says that every time he puts his suit on, he is an asshole. It says that he wants to make it right. So a little baby face right there for Matt Hardy. Andrade says that they will vote to see if they will kick Matt Hardy out of the Hardy family office. Then, of course, Jose votes the thumbs down. Andrade votes the thumbs down. Then Private Party. They had the thumbs up, so they basically pulled a Batista, but from behind. They pulled the Batista from behind. So what happens is that Matt Hardy instantly assumes that Private Party is on his side. But what happens, even though they did have their thumbs up, what happens? Matt Hardy turns and they put their thumbs down. So they basically pulled a Batista. And then the AFO, the Andrade family office, proceed to attack Matt Hardy. And what happens after that? Sting and Darby Allin come out. And I was like, oh my God, they're not going to bring out Jeff Hardy. I'm going to be disappointed. But that is not the case. What happens? The loaded theme, the WWE Hardy Boyz theme plays. And who is it? It's Jeffrey. Yes, Jeffrey Nero Hardy. Jeff Hardy is officially all elite. He takes out everyone. He hits the Swanton Bomb. He hugs his brother, which is the photo on the thumbnail of this video. And it's great, man. I fucking love it. I love the fact that they brought in Jeff Hardy. I love the fact that the Hardy Boyz are back together in the best, tag team division in the world, because they're going to have tremendous matches. We're going to see a rematch definitely down the line with the Young Bucks. I want to see the Hardy Boyz versus the Young Bucks again. We're going to see great matches. I would love to see the Hardy Boyz versus Top Flight. Top Flight is one of the best tag teams currently in AEW right now. The Lucha Bros, once Phoenix comes back, bro, the Hardy Boyz are back together, and you know what? You and I love to see it. But Jeff Hardy is back, they constantly say that Jeff Hardy is back, and I'm like, no, he's appearing for the first time on AEW. He is not back. Now the Hardy Boyz are back together, but Jeff Hardy ain't back. He's making his AEW debut. But it's great seeing Jeff Hardy, man. Jeff Hardy is great at what he does. In any position that he's put in, he always goes 110%, in my opinion. And the fact that he's finally back with his brother is great to see. It's literally great to see. Jeff Hardy is officially all elite, and he's going to have amazing ass matches. I was actually really shocked that he actually came out to the Hardy Boyz theme song. I expected Jeff Hardy to come out in one of his TNA theme songs, but that wasn't the case. So apparently WWE does not own the rights to that Hardy Boyz theme song. They don't own the exclusive rights, so that's why Tony Khan was able to use the theme song, and I assume that he bought the rights to the theme song, but we'll have to wait and see. But it's great. Tony, he's officially all elite. There's so many freaking segments on this show, man. It's not even funny. I'm like literally halfway through the show. It looked like I was like almost done with the show, but I'm really not. Tony Nese interviews Wardlow. Wardlow cuts a great promo, talks about how he is still under contract with MJF. Wardlow says that in life, we need to work hard and all that stuff, and says that before Max, he found himself ruffling others' dreams. He entered one cage and it led to another cage. He talks about how he grew up really poor. Max was his foot getting through the door, and says Max changed his life. It doesn't matter if you pay someone, you don't have the right, I should say, to threaten them or put your hands on them. And it says that he is no longer watching his back. He is no longer a member of the Pinnacle, and he is finally free, and his only concern is winning the TNT Championship and obtaining a new contract. And says that AEW is officially Wardlow's world. So that is great to see. Wardlow, of course, is on his own now. This guy is mega over with the audience. And this is a guy, man, this is a guy that you can see, a guy like Wardlow is a guy that Vince McMahon definitely would look at and be like, bro, I want him on my show, because we all know Vince McMahon loves big men. So, that's great to see. But, yeah, man, Wardlow is finally a babyface. Of course, he did turn on MJF this past Sunday at Revolution in a fantastic dog collar match, and I will be constantly using that word for that particular match because that match was fantastic. But, yeah, man, Wardlow is officially a babyface. Where does this go down the line? A lot of people are saying that they're going to have a match at Double or Nothing. I do not see that being the case, in my opinion. I definitely do see, we are like 2 months away from Double or Nothing. I think it'd be a little too long, especially if you're a feud like that. I feel like the blow-off match is going to be on a special episode of Dynamite. Maybe, if you have your Blood and Guts show, you're going to have the whole second hour be the Blood and Guts match, and the first match be Wardlow versus MJF. I definitely do see that being the case, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, I definitely do think that the right decision for Double or Nothing is for MJF to win the AEW World Championship. But again, we'll see what happens. Who knows what the hell AEW has up their sleeve, but we'll have to wait and see. Keith Lee and QT Marshall, we get a backstage interview. It says that QT comes to him and says that they have a common enemy in Team Taz. It says that QT says that the factory has his back, but then Lee retreats, which leads to a match that they had at Rampage, which, by the way, spoiler alert, Keith Lee went over in the match. It was a pretty good match. It was a short match, but it was not a bad match. Keith Lee goes over. But, yeah, man, really it led to their match at Rampage, and that's that. We got our second title match of the entire evening with Jurassic Express taking on the Acclaimed. I was actually shocked that, the Jurassic Express actually retained the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I actually expected Jurassic Express to actually drop those titles to Red Dragon. And then we'd have a tag team championship feud between Red Dragon and the Young Bucks. There can be some, there's still tension going on in storyline between the Young Bucks and Red Dragon, and heck, Adam Cole is even involved in that scenario. And definitely once Omega comes back, we're going to be seeing, Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era, or I should say Red Dragon, turning on Kenny and the Bucks. But yeah, man, we got a lot of things to talk about. So we got Jurassic Express versus the Acclaimed, and I apologize if I'm really tired, man. It's 12:38 in the morning filming this Dynamite review. I haven't filmed my Dynamite review actually like last night, which I should have, but I didn't because I was way too tired. So forgive me for that. But we got Jurassic Express versus the Acclaimed. We get a double clothesline by Luchasaurus. He takes down both the Acclaimed for a chokeslam, but they both escape. Luchasaurus has Max Caster. Bones tries to hit him with the boombox on the outside, but then Jungle Boy, out of nowhere, hits a somersault onto the outside. Luchasaurus then takes Bowens face first to the mat. Then after that, we got a chokeslam and then a moonsault by Luchasaurus. A standing moonsault by Luchasaurus. We get a cover by Luchasaurus and a near fall when Bowens makes the save. Jungle Boy tags in. We get an overhand chop to the back of Max Caster, who is on the middle rope. Jungle Boy then gets taken to the rope. The Acclaimed is in control. Jungle Boy fights back. We get a thrust kick by Bowens. Max Caster tags in. We get a drop kick, or I should say not a drop kick, a mic drop by Max Caster. We get a cover into near fall. Bowens then runs into a grip by Luchasaurus on the outside. Bowens then tries to hit him with the boombox, but then Luchasaurus fights back. Then the Acclaimed take Jungle Boy and hit the combination powerbomb. We get a cover by Bowens and a near fall. Bowens then takes the chain, but then Christian Cage out of nowhere grabs Caster when the referee was not looking, but then Luchasaurus out of nowhere hits a right on Max Caster. We get an inside cradle pin attempt by Jungle Boy. We get a near fall. We get a headbutt by Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus then has Bowens up. Then Jungle Boy hits a lariat on Bowens. We get a spinning heel kick by Luchasaurus while Jungle Boy goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. Jurassic Express retained the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Overall, this is a pretty good match. I don't know why we had a title match now, but it was not a bad match at all. I enjoy the Acclaimed. I enjoy Jurassic Express. Would want them to drop the title. I definitely do see them dropping the titles down the line. Probably maybe at the next pay-per-view. We'll have to wait and see. If MJF's going to win the world title, why not FTR win the World Tag Team Championships again, right? We get an Eliminator, a Women's Championship Eliminators match between Thunder Rosa and Layla Hirsch. This match was all right. I was not really that big of a fan of this match, to be quite honest with you. I don't want to say it was sloppy, but it was an okay match. It was not the best match, to be quite honest with you. But whoever wins would face Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, the AEW Women's World Championship. And next Wednesday night at St. Patrick's Day Slam, spoiler alert, it is Thunder Rosa. And I will give you guys my thoughts on them announcing that Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker will be inside of a steel cage later on after I go through this entire match. But Layla Hirsch goes for a German suplex. We get a cover into near fall. We get repeated rights by Layla. Layla goes to the top. We get a shot to the back by Thunder Rosa on Layla Hirsch. Rosa then goes to the top. We get a superplex by Thunder Rosa on Layla. Then it looked like Layla actually landed on her head. It literally looked like she landed on her head after that superplex spot. Then Rosa goes for a neck breaker. We get a sliding lariat by Thunder Rosa. We get a cover and a near fall. Layla Hirsch is on the outside. She grabs the arm of Rosa. Layla then takes the turnbuckle pad. She takes a turnbuckle from under the ring. But then Red Velvet comes in out of nowhere and then takes her back in the ring. We get a boot by Rosa. Then Layla counters the Thunder driver attempt. She applies the Jujikatami. Then Rosa gets her hand onto the bottom rope. We get a sunset flip by Rosa. We get a near fall. Layla Hirsch then misses the running knee strike, I should say. And then we get the Fire Thunder driver by Rosa. We get a cover, and Thunder Rosa beats Layla Hirsch, and she will now face Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, inside of a steel cage. Now, granted, it wasn't announced that it was going to be a steel cage until after the match when Tony Schiavone announced that it was going to be a steel cage match. Now, what are my thoughts? What are my thoughts on this match being a steel cage match? Overall, I think it's fantastic. This is why I think it's fantastic. The reason why I say it's fantastic is because of the fact that, keep in mind, next week's show is going to be called St. Patrick's Day Slam. What happened a year ago at St. Patrick's Day Slam at Daly's Place? Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker main evented Dynamite. Yes, they main evented Dynamite in a lights out match, unsanctioned match, and they tore the freaking house down. It was a bloody freaking match, but also they absolutely killed it, and they tore the house down in that match. Both women did. And the fact that this match is in a steel cage match for next week's St. Patrick's Day show, I think it's great. I think it's, long-term storytelling, in my opinion. A year ago in the same event, they main evented in a bloody lights out match. A year later, they will be wrestling for the women's championship, and 100%, I definitely do see Thunder Rosa beating Britt Baker for the AEW Women's World Championship. The reason why I say I think it's a great time now is because if you really look back at Revolution, really the build for that particular match at Revolution really wasn't there. And of course, that match ran into a corner because it happened right after the dog collar match. But for what the women did absolutely phenomenal in that match. The match ended up being really good and probably one of the best matches of the entire night. But, I was really afraid, especially about this match, because of the fact that, we just had the dog collar match and, people would get tired and all that stuff. But no, man, this match was great. I absolutely loved what I saw, and I'm 100% excited that this match is going to be in a steel cage. Not only that, man, they're definitely going to hype the crap out of this. And not only that, man, it's definitely going to main event Dynamite once again. And not only that, you have the connection, the whole year-long connection from both St. Patrick's Day episodes. Of course, the lights out match, and now we got a steel cage match between Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker for the AEW Women's Championship. So that is going to be awesome to see next week. Sammy Guevara versus one of the men of the year, Scorpio Sky, for the TNT Championship. The winner of this match, the winner that will either retain or win the TNT Championship, will face Wardlow next week on Dynamite. So my prediction was that Sammy was going to win and he was going to drop the belt to Wardlow. I think it can create an interesting dynamic there. And with, if Wardlow wins the TNT Championship, then MJF is basically going to be like, yeah, you thought I was going to let you keep that title? No, that title is mine. But that is not going to happen because of the fact that Scorpio Sky did win the TNT Championship. Now, I definitely do see a scenario in which, MJF would go run in next week's match and cost Wardlow the match, and Scorpio Sky would retain the TNT Championship. I think it'd be really foolish for AEW to have Scorpio Sky hold on to the TNT Championship for only 1 week. I think that'd be really dumb, and that is 100% definitely WWE-esque. I mean, these are the same people that had Zack Ryder win a freaking ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, and then the next day, he dropped it to The Miz on Raw, which is really dumb. But, yeah, man, we got Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship. It was a great match. And again, man, the TNT Championship is by far the most important championship, the most important mid-card championship in AEW. We get a couple of chops by Sammy into the corner. We get a corkscrew dropkick by Sammy. Both fight it out on the outside. Sammy then sends Sky to the guardrail. Sammy then takes out a table. He sends Sky to the steel steps. Sammy then picks up, or I should say Sky picks up Sammy for the TKO, but then Sammy escapes. He hits a thrust kick on Sky. We get repeated rights by Sammy. Sammy then, so I should say Sky. I keep getting confused here with my notes. Sky gets put on top of the table on the outside. Sammy goes to the top. What the hell does Sammy do? Sammy, as Jim Ross would say. This guy hit a freaking 630 off the top and missed. And I'm telling you, the way Sammy Guevara landed was really bad. He landed crazy. And Sammy Guevara, guys like Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin definitely take freaking risks. Like Sammy Guevara, I mean, a lot of people always say that Darby Allin is crazy. But Jesus Christ, like Sammy Guevara is one crazy son of a bitch. But again, man, that was a really good looking 630, by the way. It was a really fantastic looking 630, but then of course Sky escaped, being a typical heel, and then of course Sammy Guevara lands through the table. Ty Conti comes in to check on Sammy Guevara. We go to commercial break, and once we're back from break, Sammy is back in the ring. He spits in the face of Sky. Both fight it out. Sammy then gets taken to the outside. Scorpio Sky then takes him back in the ring. Paige Van Zant, who is in the front row, faces off with Ty Conti on the outside. And Ty Conti, throughout this entire match, man, I mean, I'm not going to talk crap about it. I actually really enjoyed it. It was actually pretty funny. Ty Conti was screaming like crazy during this freaking match. And I mean, she was screaming. Like, she was screaming. She was like, let's go, baby! Like, it was so funny. You got to love Ty Conti. I love Ty Conti. She's great. I mean, she was screaming like crazy, cheering on for Sammy. But then, of course, after that, Scorpio Sky takes him to the ring. She faces off Paige Van Zandt, that being. We get a backbreaker by Sky. He goes for a second backbreaker, and then we get a third backbreaker. We get a cover into near fall. Scorpio Sky's in control. Sammy then fights back. We get repeated rights by Sammy. Sammy goes for a roll-up, but we get a near fall. And then Sammy goes for a couple of chops, and then he hits a kick. Then Sammy hits his beautiful springboard, or I should say double springboard cutter. Then after that, after the cutter, he hits a cover and a near fall. Then Sky picks up Sammy. We got a super kick, or a thrust kick, I should say. Sammy then picks up Sky. He hits the GTH. He goes to the top. He hits a shooting star press, but, and this is the big but, Scorpio Sky got the knees up. And what happens after that? We get a cover. He hits the TKO, and Scorpio Sky is your new TNT Champion. He is the new face of Turner Network Television. And what are my thoughts on this? A, this was shocking. And B, this was fantastic. It was a great decision. I actually expected Sammy to retain the title and drop it to Wardlow next week. But that is not going to be the case. Scorpio Sky is your new TNT champion. Great. I actually think this decision is great. A lot of people were talking about how Scorpio Sky, has kind of fallen down the cliff before he teamed up with Dan Lambert. And then people were saying that there was a lot of potential with Scorpio Sky and Dan Lambert, but then Scorpio Sky kind of went downhill. But look at him now. Look at Scorpio Sky now. This guy went from being one of the first AEW World Tag Team Champions, of course, teaming up with Frankie Kazarian in SoCal Uncensored, to being a crazy-ass heel, to teaming up with Dan Lambert, and now he is the new TNT Champion. He will now face Wardlow next week for the title. Guaranteed he's going to retain the title with the help of MJF because of the fact that, it plays into the storyline, and they're definitely going to be wrestling a match on a special episode of Dynamite. I do not see this match happening on a pay-per-view because right after this small mini feud with Wardlow's going to go off to the sunset, and he's going to fight back for the TNT Championship. And then we're going to be having MJF challenge for the world title. That's what I believe, but again, plans can change. But the show ends after that. What are my thoughts on this particular episode of Dynamite? I thought it was a great show, in my opinion. A great show. There's a lot of things that happened on the show. Some of the matches were really short. Usually when it comes to Dynamite, not most of the matches, but really the main important matches are really long. But really throughout this show, there was not a lot of long matches, to be quite honest with you, but that's fine. There was a lot of promo segments on this show. Really, you barely see a lot of promo segments on AEW television, but we saw a lot of segments, and we saw a lot of great moments. Of course, Jeff Hardy is officially All Elite, so that is great to see. But, that was my AEW Dynamite review from March 9th, 2022, I should say. I was about to say 2021, but that was my AEW Dynamite review from March 9th, 2022. Overall, great show. I loved what I saw, and definitely next week is going to be a huge show because of the fact that we got a steel cage match between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, which most likely Thunder Rosa will win the AEW Women's World Championship. But yeah, that was my AEW Dynamite review. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, right here on YouTube. So, as always, it is Broken Havoc, signing out.